Good morning, Schuylerland. It's your weekly podcast with Schuyler Community Development and the Schuyler Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Brian Bywater.
I'm Audrey Yelichka, and you're just so happy this morning.
I am pumped.
We started out with a 7 a.m. meeting, and so did our guest, so we are pumped.
We are hopped on coffee and ready to roll.
Welcome, Denise Kracl. We're super excited to have you. We've created this list of all of our guests that we want. I can't even begin to touch base on how much you're involved in the community, but let's start with your main job and tell us a little bit more about you.
So my real job, that's what I like to say.
Real job.
My real job is I'm the elected Colfax County Attorney, and I've served in that position for about 11 years.
Not a rookie.
Some days I feel like I'm a rookie. Jack of all trades, master of none.
we relate. Yes. So, county attorney, and you just dabble in a few little things for our community that you're pretty, people notice you.
A little. So I actually technically have 5 different jobs. So I'm the county attorney here in Colfax County. I'm the Schuyler City prosecutor. I also can be called in to be a special prosecutor in other counties where the county attorney may have a conflict and you get appointed or picked by the judge. I have a small private practice on the side, and I actually teach an American government class at Central Community College.
Now, you mentioned that being county attorney is your real job. Are these all real jobs or are they fake jobs?
No, they're real jobs. I didn't just make them up on my resume, I promise. I'm actually expected to show up when called. But I do a few things around the community as well.
So let's just go ahead and touch base on a couple of those.
Well, right now I'm the president of the Nebraska Mediation Center Board of Directors, which is located in Fremont. I'm also governor appointed as a member of the Nebraska County Attorney Standards Advisory Committee and governor appointed to represent all prosecutors in Nebraska on the Nebraska Coalition for Juvenile Justice. I'm a member of the Schuyler Food Pantry, but my favorite thing to do is I'm the president of the board for Colfax County Food and Toy Drive.
And boy, are you visible there. So there, you just help a few families.
Yeah.
We'll touch base on those few families. We've got some fun questions for her.
Oh yeah. When you touch base on a lot of the things you do, and I know that's not you do a lot of other things, but when you look back at everyone you've known, all the lives you've touched, and you touch a lot of lives, all the work you've done, all the accomplishments you've earned, all this, what matters most to you?
The thing, besides the health and welfare of my family and my friends, the most important thing to me is taking care of our children and taking care of our community. You know, Schuyler is an absolutely generous community. When the folks in Schuyler know that there's a need, people will stand up, they will donate, they will come and help. We have hundreds of people who come out every single year to feed children in this community over the Christmas holiday, and I cannot speak to how fantastic this community really is.
Yeah, you have to send wrappers and Christmas wrappers and people away because there's always so many. I know that. That's amazing. You're a giver, obviously, so children are a passion to you.
They are. And, I'm super blessed in my job to be able to wind that through my everyday job. So since I've been here, we've really seen an increase in the knowledge base as far as how we treat children different than adults. And my job allows me the opportunity to actually divert kids or remove them from the juvenile justice system. It also allows me the opportunity to get children mental health assistance early in their lives, just to try to keep them on a positive path. We don't want kids going to prison. I want kids in classrooms. I don't want them in courtrooms. And so that's really been a mission of mine since the time that I took office.
It does. It's interesting how it intertwines because you do have access to that knowledge, and then yet you take your personal side and be able to do things like food and toy and other ones. So that's why you're known. I always say people know you. They know you're the county attorney, but food and toy is right, your tagline right behind it.
Well, and the funny part is they just assume as the county attorney, I just want to lock people up. What they don't realize is that when I look at a file on my desk, I realize that one person is connected to at least 5 other lives. They have children, they have spouses, they have parents, people who love them. And when you look at it, it's not just a file to me, it's actually a human being. And those human beings have families. It really makes it it changes your perspective as to how you do your job. Some days I feel like a unicorn with big fluffy wings walking around with a group of thoroughbreds, but that's okay. I don't always fit in as a typical prosecutor, and I've kind of embraced the fact that I have a different take on things.
Right.
Okay, I have to know. Perry Mason or LA Law?
Probably. See, I don't. The funny part is it would be LA Law because LA Law is straight out and in your face. Like I'm the kind. Literally, if a defense attorney comes into my office, I will literally just hand them the file. Like I'm not hiding anything. There's no gotcha moment for me. If this is what I have, woo, right here, it's in front of you. And either I have a case or I don't. And we're not going to make a case if it's not there. And I appreciate that law enforcement in this area is super supportive of that as well.
So that's LA Law. So does the Perry Mason side intrigue you at all?
Nah, the gotcha part. I don't like surprises. I'm like every other attorney. You two should know we're all control freaks, and if you're not, then you're not in the practice of law for very long. So no, I want to know exactly what's going to happen. I want to know every question before I ask it. I want to know the answer.
Awesome.
Ducks in a row.
Yep.
So here's the next question I have for you. What's the one thing you feel most proud about? This has to be, I mean, your spectrum is big.
Well, so far, not to brag, but my daughter's trucking along okay. She's 15. She participates in bowling and she airboats and she does all of these crazy things.
FFA.
FFA.
We were just talking about that.
Yep, but she's still a work in progress, and I acknowledge that.
Well, she's what, 15?
Yeah.
Yep.
They're work in progress.
Absolutely, and so is the mom. I feel like I should have a work in progress sign as well on me at all times because I think every mom feels like they're an utter failure. It does not matter what, if you're the greatest mom in the universe from everyone else looking in, it feels like we're all kind of fragile and made of glass and one little drop of a pen and we're all going to just shatter. Right. So I think just like every other mom out there, we're all just holding it together and it looks so organized from the outside and from the inside, you're just paddling to stay afloat.
We were just talking about this, Brian. So mom and dad, we're work in progress and
I'm just the checkbook.
Yeah, well, that's okay too. I'm also in that club too. $20 today for Husker Harvest Days. I'm with you.
That was cheap.
It was a deal.
Yeah.
So, okay, I know you're not a Schuyler lifer.
Correct.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Columbus, so
Okay.
I'm only 15 minutes from home.
Okay. All right. So, what is home to you?
Home to me is definitely Schuyler. So I've lived here for over 20 years. And I'm actually living in my third residence. During the 2019 flood, we were actually displaced for a couple of days during the flood. And so we figured out that while my house wasn't damaged, and I'm super blessed by that, that we were able to switch to a different residence that I love. It's my forever home. Mm-hmm. And I've never truly had a home where I felt like it was my forever home, but Schuyler is.
Let's talk about displacement as a result of flooding. That happened. A fair amount of people were impacted in that regard just a few years ago. Tell us about, I guess, your experience with that.
So I'm also the public information officer for Colfax County, which gives me a very unique perspective because I'm allowed to go behind the barricades and go take pictures and do a lot of things that Audra now does. And so being displaced, we slept for 15 hours in 5 days, if you can imagine. The first night we slept 2 to 3 hours. The next night we slept 4 or 5, and then finally we got 6 hours of sleep. We ended up actually sleeping on Audra's mother-in-law's floor and couch, and she was kind enough, literally.
She took us all in.
She took us all in, and that's not an exaggeration. Every bedroom was full, and so by the time we got there about 3 o'clock in the morning, we ended up on a couch and a floor.
And so good with that.
Yeah, and we were super appreciative. Like all I wanted was a place to stay. So when people say we were displaced, I can understand that. I literally said goodbye to my house and thought that I was never going to see it again. And I realize that sounds like an exaggeration, but at the time, it was a very fast mourning process. I pulled out whatever I could, my scrapbooks and a couple of pictures, and we packed my car, and that was it. And I had resigned myself to the fact that my house was going to flood because we just didn't know. And so, but my job was to continue to inform others. And so we worked day and night with the help of all of my friends, thankfully, a wonderful support system. I actually shipped my daughter to my mom's house in Columbus for 5 days. So I didn't see her for almost a week. But our job was to continue to work even as my house was potentially flooding. And so we served our community in that way as well.
And somehow that helps the mental stability because it does take your mind off. I've
Yep.
noticed that as a chamber. Okay, I can direct myself to that because I too was worried about that. But um, again, got to keep the communication to the community. What's going on? It keeps them out of those places that we don't want them to be because we're
Well,
showing them.
and information is power.
It
You
is.
know, if people understand, it's not nearly as scary when you have information coming to you. And at least it's pictures. It may be bad news, but bad news is better than no news because no news means fear. Because all
Right.
you can do is let your mind run.
Yep. Absolutely. So we've talked about quite a few things, and I want you to go back and visit a little bit about the other organizations and stuff, and the food pantry a little bit more in detail. But I have to ask this first: what makes you feel accomplished? Because you do so many things, you wear so many hats. So how would you narrow that down about making you feel accomplished? Talk about your family and Cody and all these tasks and your job.
Well, and accomplishments and awards are nice, but to me, the true satisfaction for me is seeing a child whose life that I've impacted forever. I'm gonna cry because that's a legacy. That's the true meaning of life is positively impacting someone else's life.
Huge accomplishment.
And
And you
I
do get to do that in so many different ways.
what's really cool is when we do the food and toy program now, we've been doing it for over 10 years. Saul Insurance Soltero actually started the program over 10 years ago when Saul was the diversion officer here. And we realized that children didn't have any food over the Christmas holiday. And then we realized there was a need for warm coats and shoes and that sort of stuff. And so now we've done this long enough that children who we impacted 10 years ago are actually coming back and helping and volunteering for the program. That is coming full circle. That is affecting lives. So that really matters to me.
How do you know which kids to help on food and toy on this?
It's actually an amazing process that we've come through over the years. No family can ask for anything from food and toy. They have to be nominated by a professional who has been in the home, who can certify that without help, this family is not going to have enough food to get through the 2-week Christmas holiday. The schools here do a great job in Schuyler of serving children food almost all year long, but during that 2 weeks of Christmas, the Christmas break or the winter break, they don't serve food.
Mm-hmm.
And so our goal is to just help families span that time period. And since then, we've been able to actually expand further and help with other things. But after we get the families nominated, then the next layer is the families go through a vetting process with one person from the medical field, one person from education, one person from a church, certifying again this family has a significant need. And then the final layer is my office and me.
Mm-hmm.
And I go through all the applications to make sure that, in fact, there is a significant need. We are only looking for the families who have the greatest need. Maybe they're affected by illness this year, fire, flood was definitely brought more families in than we would normally have, COVID, and any of those other issues. We're looking for those families as well.
A fantastic program and needed. I'm sure every community does need it. Do you want to peek at your list to tell us just a little bit more about what's, you got a minute to share about what all these extra things.
Well, how about something that most people don't realize about me?
We would love it.
So I actually, I am the mom to a very, very lovely reptile tortoise named Darwin. Darwin got out the other night for the first time ever. He escaped from the pen, and literally our neighbors, because were helping us look for this tortoise in the middle of the night with a flashlight. The rest of my neighborhood thought I was crazy, but
now, having met him, this started out as a 6-inch round.
Yeah, he was the size of an egg when I got him. And now he's over a pizza plate headed to manhole.
Yeah.
Manhole cover.
We're not talking about a little thing here.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, so when he's full grown, he will be 150 pounds and 150 years.
Yeah,
so,
he will outlive Denise.
Yeah, he's a 3-generation animal, and I actually, those of you who are listening will think I'm crazy, but I have an animal trust that I actually hired a different attorney to create for me so that when I die, I have a life insurance policy on my life that will dump into the trust and take care of him because he's a 3-generation animal.
She not only loves kids, she loves animals.
I do love animals. Everybody in my house is a fixer-upper, starting with me.
So if it gets loose again, does it have its own cell phone with that 360 app so you can find it?
But funny enough, I actually put a bright neon colored piece of duct tape on it, and I write "Call Denise," and I have my cell phone number on him. So if anyone in Schuyler randomly sees a tortoise walking around with a big old piece of bright pink duct tape and my phone number, you'll know who to return him to.
Crazy, isn't it?
I've got nothing.
Right?
You have 2 cats.
We have 2 cats in our house. We have 2
2
dogs,
dogs.
a tortoise, a teenager, and then
Yeah.
then the rest of us.
Yeah.
We're all fixer-uppers in my household.
It's awesome. I think that's great for people to know. So, any last minute things?
I just say that I absolutely love living and working here in Schuyler. The people are so genuine and they're so kind. And every time I pick up the phone with a crazy idea, somebody's always willing to come and help. They're always willing to donate. And we do so many different things in the community, but we couldn't do any of them if people didn't come forward and have faith in us that we're doing the right thing.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's what we're trying to do with this podcast, Brian. Let people know the great people in Schuyler and what's happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that goes on here every day.
Well, we thank you
Awesome.
for coming.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
It was
thanks
a
for
joy.
having me.
That was Denise Kracl.
Thank you.